Good evening. Man, it's getting late. This is the second night in a row I've started at 11, but it's just been that way. I've been busy, and that's a good thing, I think. How are you tonight? Why are you still awake? Why am I still awake? I thought, I don't even know if it was last night or the night before, I thought that I was, you know, going to be streaming during the day, and it's not working out that way. It's just late. Got a lot to go over tonight. I mean, it's not like there's a lack of stuff to talk about, so that's good. But man, I'd like to get my I'd like to get my stream done about noon, and it's really a lot of hours past that. Well, if you've just stumbled on my live stream and are wondering what's going on, this is a Deerwood Realty live stream. My name is John Schenk, and I'm the founder and managing broker of Deerwood Realty in St. Louis, Missouri. We're a small residential firm. We mainly help buyers buy homes and sellers sell theirs. At night, I do the Deerwood Realty live stream. It's a show. It's a stream as well. I mean, you can put something in the chat and I'll probably read it or probably see it. You can put something in the comment section if you're looking for more of a delayed reaction. I don't see the comments until later. But yeah, we talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about some news, some pop culture. We're going to talk about some tweets, just random stuff related to real estate, the way I see it. You'll get my unique take on pretty much anything. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but that's what you'll get when you watch my show. It's Friday. It's Friday. It's close to midnight. I mean, 58 minutes away. And I've had a day. I'm not down. Just had a day. It's been a long one. As you know, yesterday, breaking news. I put breaking news. I got to fix something real quick. I fixed my refrigerator in the sense that it doesn't work anymore. And man, this has been a quandary. So last night we were looking at different models of refrigerator to go with. I don't want water. Like, I don't want the outside thing where you put the water or the ice. I'm done with that. Wife likes the filtered water. I like filtered water, but I drank from a tap for years and I don't really care. But that being said, I was like, if we can eliminate that outside thing, maybe less things will break. But have you looked at refrigerator to buy like lately? And I'd say, have you looked in the last, I don't know, 6 years? Because we bought one 6 years ago and it's dead. It's just dead. It's a Samsung, and I have nothing nice to say about Samsung. The only thing I would say about Samsung is they're not alone in how terrible they manufacture appliances. When I bought a Kenmore appliance in 2007 when I moved to my home, and it is running perfectly. It still runs perfectly. It's holding all of our food because the Samsung that we bought to replace it died. First, the ice machine was broken and never did work right. Finally got that fixed with a change in the motherboard. Had to go in and like change a bunch of stuff, with the heating or the defroster inside the ice machine. It was stupid. During that time, the ice machine bucket all cracked and is all nasty. Broken shelf on the Samsung because they're cheap. They look nice, but it just didn't hold up. Very disappointed by Samsung. I originally had I think it's a 55-inch TV from them. It works great. I know they have a lot of things like involved with computers with storage and stuff like that. Those or the M2 drives, I think they're called. That's something I'm looking forward to on my next computer. But my gosh, and you can argue global supply chain issues. You can argue anything you want to, but that was 7 years ago. I bought that thing, and it's dead. It's really interesting. I was looking at the new Samsungs. I went by and my wife and I were looking, and I was like, you know, I refuse to buy another Samsung refrigerator. Now I don't. I'll buy other things from the brand. I'm not. You know, I'm not. I understand. Like for instance, if you just look at the appliance sector, like you look at a Bosch dishwasher. At least when we bought ours, man, that was the greatest dishwasher ever. It was so far ahead of every other dishwasher. There was no question. I don't know if that's true now, but different appliances are probably better for different places. That's why it makes it kind of weird when you want to buy like a set of appliances and then things go wrong. So say you buy like a set of four of some appliance. So you get a refrigerator, stove, uh, microwave, and dishwasher, and like they start breaking one by one. Now all of a sudden you got different brands in your house, or you start off that way and don't fall for it. But I'll tell you, it's just, I mean, for it to just go out and die. By the time I were to get those things replaced that I told you were broken, by the time I got a technician out here that may or may not be able to fix it, I suspect it's the compressor, so that's not going to be free. But I'm looking at Lowe's. I went to Lowe's, I went to Home Depot, I went to a local appliance store today. But when I'm there, they have these warranty signs on the Samsung 10-year on the compressor, and I'm like, well, why do we need a 10-year on the compressor? Well, clearly because your compressors are terrible. And I say that as someone who has a Samsung refrigerator whose compressor is probably out in 7 years. But back then there was no such thing as a warranty for 10 years for that. And so now I'm just stuck with a very large paperweight. Now I've done a lot of thinking about this, and I'll just let you come along with me because why not? So my my main my main thought is, and by the way, I'm not interested in arguing about how much one pays for a refrigerator indicates how somehow it would be a better purchase as far as quality is concerned. But I was sitting there and I just don't understand, you know, what to make of any of this. For instance, let's just say you look at reviews. I mean, when we looked at the Samsung review for our refrigerator 7 years ago, it was a great refrigerator. Excuse me, I'm going to have to take a drink because something just got me now. This is going to be tricky because, oh my gosh. I'm going to put that here for tonight. Goodness. But so the thought that I had was, because my Kenmore has run since 2007 with no issues, it doesn't have any, it's a side by side. It has an ice maker that actually works and has always worked. I just don't have it plugged in. But it doesn't have a lot of stuff. The ice machine is inside the machine. It doesn't do filtered water. And so I thought to myself, I said, look, maybe I don't need a refrigerator with all the stuff on it. And I'm sorry, I'm coughing. Just a minute. I don't know what you do on a live stream when you have to cough other than say you're going to have to cough. Anyway, so I was like, I want something more simple. But you go to the store and find something more simple. There's the traditional where it's the bottom you open it and the top is the freezer. Those things will never die. They're less than $1,000, but they're small. And my wife says no. The side by sides, which is what I have in my Kenmore, I like, except for in the one side on the freezer side, they're normally very small, and you can't fit like a full size like oven pizza, which I like. I like oven pizzas. So that's not so good. Which leads you to, like, I think they call it the French door, which is what we want, sort of, but we really don't, and we'll get to that. So there's 3 French door manufacturers that don't have the water and ice, okay, that I found. And I'm sure there's a few others, but those are the ones that I found in most of the stores. One's made by LG. And by the way, Samsung got thrown out, so we don't care about them as a manufacturer. There's LG, there's Frigidaire, and there is GE. Go look at the reviews for any of those, and you'll find people just livid that their machines are horrible. And it goes back to this. I mean, once you buy the machine, you're kind of like you're in it, you know? Like you don't have a choice. I mean, you can get rid of it after it doesn't work, um, but that's a big hassle and a huge amount of buyer's remorse. I mean, here you've just put down a significant chunk of change on a refrigerator, now it doesn't work. But but anyway, it just I got to thinking, look, I don't need water filtration on my refrigerator. I do need ice. I do need an automatic ice machine. I just don't know how you can be in 2023 without one. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, I've had an automatic ice machine since I was a kid. I don't understand. Like it doesn't seem right. So anyway, with the filtration, I got to think in two different ways. One, we could just put a water filter underneath the sink and have a dedicated faucet for that. I could do that. Or two, we could do a whole house water filtration system. Now, we'd have to give up some storage in the room where the water filtration would go. Anytime you're introducing more complexity to the plumbing system, you're bound to get weak spots. So that's dangerous. But I mean, I'm not real big on chlorinated water and all that stuff. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure our water is tested. I'm sure it comes out great because, you know, we can really trust utility companies. I mean, they'd never do anything against their customers like raise rates every single month. Uh, but anyway, I I was thinking about that. So if we got a water filtration system, or if we just even got one for the kitchen alone, that would eliminate the need for one in the refrigerator. So with that knowledge, that we looked at refrigerators online last night. We didn't actually go to the store. So today, my wife and I decided to go to the stores, and it was very odd. And I'll tell you about it. The first store we stopped at was Home Depot. A fellow in the line, in the department, talked to us the whole time. Not very knowledgeable, but just like would listen. It was very weird. It's like, I don't want a Samsung. And he'd be like, oh, really? It was like the weirdest sales thing ever. And then we went to the local appliance store. Now, look, I'm a small business owner, so small that I'm the only person in my business. Although I do have an assistant, so I shouldn't say I'm the only one. But um, I understand how I get clients. Okay? I get clients because I treat them well, okay, and with respect. And they tell their friends and they tell their family, "Hey, I had a good experience with this real estate agent, John. You should maybe give him a call if you're interested in looking for a home in the future." That's how I get my business. If I rip off my clients, they will not recommend me to their family and friends, and they will do their very best to badmouth me anytime they get. So I do not do that. It's kind of like social rules. I'm just not allowed. Um, well, I mean, I've seen terrible agents do that, but it's just I will not allow that to happen. And so I don't know that I love large corporate. I'll tell you right now, I don't love large corporations. Um, I think they're predatory. I don't think that anything is fair on the business battle field. I don't think that there's anything close to fair or reasonable or just. And so I just automatically suspect that if you have a big box retailer, they've done everything they can to destroy the little guy over years, and they've done a pretty good job. There was that show Idiocracy, that movie. It was pretty prescient. I mean, pretty, I'd say prescient. Um, like where they're always going to the Costco. I don't want to live in that world. And so I still go to the local places when I can. I mean, I don't want to get ripped off, but I will give my money to somebody local before I'll give my money to a corporation, a nameless, faceless corporation like Lowe's or Home Depot in this case. And so I went to the local store and I walked in, and I know the guy because they've had the shop for like since the 1960s. And walking, my wife is in front of me, and he's like, "What are you looking for?" We said, "We want a refrigerator without anything in the front." He goes, "I have just the refrigerator for you." It was a GE. He said, "Look at this refrigerator. Um, it is it makes a lot of sense. Look right here where the ice is. It's at the bottom. You see, if the ice is at the bottom, that makes a lot more sense. Then they don't have to defrost the ice machine. It's just always frozen. It's where it should be, which makes a lot of sense. Not going to lie to you." We were talking for a moment. He's like, "Well, I only have one in the warehouse." Now, look, this is where it got funny. I want you to know that I'm not a great salesman. Okay, I don't think I'm a great salesman. I will listen and I will respond. I will ask questions as well. I'm part of the Sandler School for Sales. That's the techniques I would use. But I understand, I know what the appliance got. So one of the funniest things he did was he's like, "Well, like hold on, like we weren't buying today. We were just looking. I mean, we're just trying to see the models." And I oddly enough, I respect a salesman. It's hard to sell. Okay, so I respect it, and especially when I don't like the pushy those types of sales. I just like certain things that he did were just, and it's his business, so he had to do these things. So anyway, one of the greatest things was he said, "This is the best refrigerator for you," and look, it was. There's no question that that's the best refrigerator for us. The reviews are terrible for it, but the reviews are terrible for every refrigerator if you look. So anyway, he's like, let me go check this. Here's the price. And I didn't have the heart to tell him, but it was $1 difference between his store and all the other ones in town. I mean, it wasn't like, he's like, "But we've got this, and let me check at the warehouse just to see if they have any more, because I want you to have this good deal." Now, look, that is just what he's doing, is creating scarcity. So what he probably did was he went into his office and he sat down for about 5 minutes and he played TikTok, uh, or tic tac toe. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's just TikTok is engraved in the mind. He went and he went and played tic tac toe in his office, and then he came back out and he's like, "Good news, good news! I just got off that now we don't have them here in stock, and it's not in this local warehouse, but we do have one in the West County warehouse, and we can get that for you tomorrow. How does that sound?" Look at him! Look at him closing the deal. I was like, "You know what? That's great. I'm not buying anything today, but I'm just looking, and I'll keep that in mind." He's like, "Well, this is a great deal. I don't know that you're ever going to see a deal like this again." Now, look, I've been to two others. Well, I've been to Home Depot, and I know what the price is at the Lowe's. So, it's like I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get this deal tomorrow if I need it. Um, and so we talked for a little while. Again, like not pushy, but putting things in your mind. One, the product is made in America. So that's as an American, I think that's great. Um, but it was GE, and GE back in the day, GE Financial, not a nice company. Not a nice company. Look at what they did with a company called Consolidated Freightways. Look at the people that ran GE Financial at that time, and get back to me about how great those people are. Um, Spoiler alert, they're not. Uh, and so I, I, he couldn't close. He tried. And then so when you can't close, then you just kind of try to prolong the conversation. So they have this selection of high-end appliances, like $10,000 stoves. Like my wife and I have never seen one. We'd always wanted to see like a Thermador, and there's another couple brands. They were they were gorgeous. They were natural gas stoves, so obviously they'll be banned in the future. But man, they were nice. And if I ever spend $10,000 on a stove, I've lost my marbles. But then, I said, "Okay, well, we need to head out because I gotta get going." I said, "You know what? Look, I will buy from you. I'm going to go to the other stores. I'm going to look around, and I will buy from you, but it's not going to be right now because I need to go see more of a selection." And he goes, "Well, they're just going to push LG and Samsungs on you." And I was like, I know this, but I have to go." And uh, so on the way out, he goes, "We'll match any price. We have a guarantee." And I'm like, I know this. Like, I'm not like, you didn't need to tell me that. If I see something around town and somebody has it in stock, I'm sure I can come to you and say, hey man, what can you do for this? And that's the way it is. So anyway, my point is rather than like don't take this the wrong way, but rather than oh, and then we went to Lowe's, South City Lowe's. Guy was nice there. I wasn't interested. He's like, "You need any help with anything?" I'm like, "Not really." And then towards the end, I was looking for this model that we had seen online that they said they had in stock. And so I went and I said, "What do you know about this model here?" He's like, "Well, we don't have it." I was like, "Well, that's not ideal," because I wanted to see. He said, "Fenton might have it, Baldwin might have it. Call them." We're not calling them right now because again, the reviews are terrible. And look, here's how difficult the review game is. My wife looked at the reviews and I looked at the reviews for the same refrigerator. I said the reviews are awful. She said the reviews were great. I mean, that's how confusing it is to buy. I mean, this is almost as bad as mattress shopping, which I gave up on and I just ordered it from Amazon and it's a terrible mattress, but in 10 years I'll buy a different one. It was so cheap. It was like it wasn't even worth arguing about. But anyway, the thing is, you know, the local appliance guy whose only job is to sell appliances, not lumber or anything else, had picked the right refrigerator for us. It is the right refrigerator. I don't like it though. I'm worried. A couple of things I'm worried about. One, that reviews say that the doors don't stay tight. That's not very good. Number two, they say that the compressor makes a loud noise. Now that's not good. And number three, they say that that's kind of the build quality is kind of cheap. And I'll be honest with you, when I saw it, the build quality is kind of cheap. It's all made out of plastic, not a lot of glass. Which what do you expect anymore? One thing I wanted to say was, how we talked about how Bosch dishwashers were just so much better than anybody else's. Now again, this is a couple years back, but you could get a nice Bosch dishwasher for like $700 if I remember right. I could be wrong, but Bosch has entered the refrigerator market. Their products are twice the price of anything else in like comparable products. Twice the price. So I'm gonna guess that there's like shipping issues or something because they're way out of line on their prices. Because here's the thing: if I'm getting a Bosch, um, if I'm getting a Bosch refrigerator, it's not like I don't feel like that's as luxurious as others. I guess like Viking. I think Viking makes Sub Zero. I don't know. Moral of the story: if you can shop local, it makes sense to me. I would. I mean, if you're getting the same price, same refrigerator, but I have not made a decision, and then it elevated afterwards. I don't know that I want the refrigerator that's I'm supposed to get. It may sound strange to you. What do you mean you're not going to get the refrigerator that you? What did happen here? Well, I don't feel comfortable with that refrigerator. So I started looking around and there was this Whirlpool I found, Whirlpool brand, and they're called the Sidekicks. And so one of and Anissa, my wife, I just told you my wife's name, but anyway, she has said like, "Hey, I think that it wouldn't it be cool if you like we were at Lowe's and there was this freezer, but you could also use it as a refrigerator." Now it was in all white, and we don't want that, and it was upright, but we would take that. She said, "What if this was in stainless steel? We could just buy two of these, and it would be awesome." And it would have been. It would have been. It's like they were $800 each, and we could have bought one refrigerator and left it as a refrigerator and one freezer. Now the problem with that is you don't have an ice maker, but then that got me thinking: is there a product on the market that we could use that would work like that? And it turns out there's the Whirlpool Sidekicks, which there's a refrigerator portion like that's a full size upright, and then there's a freezer portion. It's a separate unit. Reviews aren't great on that either, but you're in it for like 4 grand, 4,500 after taxes. That's a lot of money for me. maybe not for you. Um, and like I said, the reviews aren't great. Whirlpool is the largest manufacturer of refrigerators in the world. I just found that to be hard to believe. I found that hard to believe. We are not any closer today to buying a refrigerator than we were yesterday. The problem is all of our food now. We just got through the kitchen sink not working for 3 months. It has been 3 months, and now and not having a dishwasher at all. And now we've gone to not having a refrigerator. There's urgency there, but I mean, we have a refrigerator downstairs. The only problem is of course you have to take all your food upstairs anytime you want to eat or anything time you want to do anything. It's not sustainable. I don't think my wife's going to let me get away with this for as long as I'd like to go. But I really don't have the right. I mean, would I care that there was a noisy? I'm going to go on YouTube after this. I've just had a brilliant idea. I'm going to go on YouTube and find out if there's sounds of the refrigerator so that we know. I'm actually going to do that now. I just did it. Awesome. All right. Ought to be interesting. Can't believe I just came up with that. Um, Man, I want to check. I need to check something else here. I want to make sure we're broadcasting. I would hate to be. I'd hate to be going through stuff and not have it. Okay, we do. God. All right. Anyway, now that we got that done, so I don't have an idea. So after the great refrigerator search, we went. I went to do some work. I had to show a house, and so um, I met some first time home buyers. They uh, they had not seen any homes yet, so tonight was the first night. They picked a terrible house. I told them that yesterday. Uh, a couple of reasons why, but like when you meet first time home buyers, you try. It's a learning experience. You try to teach them everything so that they can make the best decision possible for them. And so we, I told them why I knew it was going to be a disaster. One, there was no disclosures. Two, no seller's disclosures. Two, they were selling it as is, um, which in this market right now isn't normal. You wouldn't sell it as is if you were thinking. Um, then the other thing is there was a change of ownership 3 times in the past 6 months. That's not a good one. And so those were the reasons. Plus, like, I just know. Uh, I mean, I just know basically the house is going to be too expensive. As an example, there's going to be 2 houses we look at this weekend uh, with the same buyers. That's only $10,000 difference. Both of those homes are move-in ready. This home wasn't going to be close to move-in ready. So anyway, we went. It was very cold out in the 20s tonight, so didn't want to spend a whole lot of time outside. I did introduce myself, and then we went in. The house was terrible. There were broken tiles to start. It was a split level. The flooring upstairs was destroyed. The kitchen was small and dated. The outside was a disaster. It did have a new air conditioner, but and it did have a new air handler, but the furnace was 20 years old. The water heater was the same age. There were odd rooms. There was a strange fireplace in a very small room, to the point where, like, if you put a couch there, you would be like literally on top of the fireplace, which probably isn't safe. Uh, they weren't offering an occupancy inspection, a past occupancy inspection. So with first time home buyers, these people haven't, they've not even been through the process before. And now when they go to buy the house, say they were to buy this particular house, now the municipality would come through and say, oh, you need to fix all these things. We have no idea what the municipality would want to have fixed. And so you'd be in a terrible spot. So, but learning, introducing yourself. This is the first time I saw my buyers in person. Nice couple, and they're going to find a great house. Um, it's just going to take a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, and we're going to get it. So, what would I say to the listing agent, given what I know about the house after seeing it? Is price too high? And I know that I know that who you're working for, your seller, bought it for 2 or 3 thousand more than you've got it listed for 6 months ago, but they're going to have to take the L on this one. Somebody messed up. Somebody thought that they could fix and flip, and clearly they figured out quick that it wasn't going to make it. And look, it's just priced too high. You may say, well, John, if you put some money into it, it's going to be worth, X, but it's going to be a negative equity situation. I mean, seriously negative equity to start. And why would anyone want to do that? I mean, the house needs like $50,000-$60,000 worth of repairs just to be like livable, and the houses in the neighborhood aren't selling for that. So it will sit. I often get worried about, you know, I don't have a track record with my new buyers. They've never met me. They have no idea, you know, if they can trust me. They have no idea, if I'm telling the truth, nothing. And so it's very rough. It's very hard to, as an agent, you're always worried you're going to lose your clients. You're always worried you're going to make somebody mad, and they're going to say, like, you're terrible and I don't want to use you anymore. And especially in the beginning, because you haven't built up any trust. But I've always felt like if I'm going to lose a client, I'd rather lose a client because I was being honest with them and trying to do a good job versus just absolutely lying and lying and lying. I just found that to be a horrible strategy, and I don't like that, so I don't do it. So I think we're going to be done with that. Now, this is our Google Trends. I don't know if we're going to get thrown off of Google for this, and I don't want to get thrown off of Google for this, but let's go through it and see, let's talk about it. I'm doing it. Have you been following this story? There's apparently a balloon from China that's a weather balloon that's flying across the United States, which would be a violation of our airspace. Now, I'm not sure. Like it's a very odd situation. If I were China, I would say, "Hey, man, my balloon accidentally went over your property. I'm sorry. Do you mind if I just come get it?" And like, that seems to be the right thing. But in the United States, I would think that if any foreign aircraft tried to fly into our airspace, they'd be blown out of the sky. Like, there wouldn't even be time to talk. It would just be done. I thought this is not a good look, though. Even if it's just a helium balloon, you can't have. Now you say, John, well, the United States flies over countries all the time. They don't seem to respect their air sovereignty. I don't know. I don't know how often it occurs. I don't know what the protocol is here. All I know is it doesn't seem right that there's this balloon flying across the United States. Now, one of the things I've seen online since this is they say, well, there's one flying across Latin America as well. I don't care where they're flying them, it's not right. This is my opinion. At the end of the day, I would say to the Chinese people, the Chinese government, I'd say, look, you got to get rid of this balloon like immediately, or we're going to shoot it down. You have an hour to figure out what you want to do, and then we have to do this. It's not that we want to; it's that you're violating our airspace and you're making us look like idiots. Okay, that's what I would do if John was the president. If John was speaking about himself in the third person, that's what he would do. So, but let's get into this because this is going to get really weird. Okay, so you can see the headline. It says explosion in the sky above Billings, Montana, where Chinese spy balloon was spotted infiltrating U.S. airspace as residents report seeing jet zoom by after officials come under fire for refusing to shoot it down. Now, what does this headline not say? It does not say that the U.S. government shot down the Chinese weather balloon. Now, look, I don't know. I don't know about you. I don't know if you're concerned about this. I don't know what I think about it. Um, we'll get to it in the article. They say it's happened before. It says an explosion. And by the way, go on YouTube or not YouTube, go on Twitter and look for the explosion. I'm not going to show it because I don't want to give you might want to give credit to the person, and I don't want to steal their for anything like that. And I don't know, like this story leads you to believe something happened, but it could be something totally different. Okay. But the reason why I pulled this story was because I wanted to get more information, like the background, and this seemed to have a good background. So it says, and by the way, look, they could be totally wrong. This whole thing could be totally wrong that I'm reading, and I'm okay with that. And we'll get to the why a little bit later. An explosion in the sky over Billings, Montana, where a Chinese spy balloon has been flying over the region, was caught on camera Friday. Now, look, my understanding was this balloon has already moved to like northeast Nebraska. That's what I saw on Twitter earlier today. So it doesn't make any sense at that point that it's a shot down balloon. It says a mysterious video of the aftermath shows a trail of smoke in the sky where the balloon was last spotted. I don't know that makes sense because they were saying that it's in Nebraska. Dolly Moore, who took the video of the scene, said she saw a jet go by so fast and then explosion in the sky. As the video spread, oh gosh, I'm going to pause it because I don't want to cause problems. It says Missouri residents cite Chinese surveillance balloon right there. But anyway, as the video spread on social media, defense officials have said the balloon over Montana has not exploded. And to me, it seems like the balloon isn't even over Montana right now. It's over Missouri. It says it comes as the U.S. State Department called the balloon, which was traveling over U.S. airspace at 60,000 feet, a clear violation of U.S. sovereignty, but said it wouldn't be shot down because it was flying over a number of sensitive sites. Now, this is a terrible, terrible thought. Like, this is a terrible, terrible response to a foreign nation. We're just being weak. I find it fascinating that it's a clear voluntary violation of U.S. sovereignty, but we can have, well, let's not get into that. But I think you all know what I'm talking about, or will know at some point. We're getting violations of our sovereignty daily, and nobody seems to care then. But it wasn't shot down because it's flying over a number of sensitive sites. Now, I don't know what's in Montana, but I would think, like, and this is just me, I would think that you could put like a jet up in the sky and then wait for it to go someplace where it was very few people and then go ahead and take your shot. I mean, does this make any sense to you? For like if there's a plane that comes in the United States territory, I know that they would say at first, like, hey, you got to knock it off. Hey, would they would try to get on the radio and say, hey, like, what's wrong with you? Why are you flying this way? And you have a certain amount of time before we're going to blow you out of the sky. That's what it used to be. Maybe they've changed policy and I'm just not familiar with it. It says the U.S. officials had said, stop with this. I don't want there. says U.S. officials had said the balloon is large enough that destroying it would rain down debris, risking the safety of people on the ground. We'll just tell the people to go inside. Analysts said the balloon is about the size of 3 buses and could be fitted with high-tech equipment, including cameras, sensors, and radar. F-22 jets were mobilized to track the device as it hovered, which I don't think is a word, over Montana, which borders Canada, on Wednesday. U.S. defense officials said it had entered U.S. airspace a couple of days ago, but its exact location was not shared. Montana Senator Steve Daines, however, warned that the balloon might have been targeting his state's nuclear missile fields. So you're saying that this balloon isn't a weather balloon? Montana plays a vital national security role by housing nuclear missile silos at Malmstrom Air Force Base, Daines wrote to the Department of Defense. Given the increased hostility and destabilization around the globe aimed at the United States and our allies, I'm alarmed by the fact that this spy balloon was able to infiltrate the airspace of our country and Montana. Now, look, now you told me it was a weather balloon, and now all of a sudden it's a spy balloon. Which is it? Which is it? I don't know. I'm not an expert in balloons. It says Chinese Foreign Ministry said the balloon has seriously deviated from the scheduled route and expressed regret that the airship strayed in the United States due to a force majeure. I don't know what that means. And claimed it was used for scientific research such as meteorology, something the Pentagon disputed. Now look, now all of a sudden it's not a weather balloon because the Pentagon said so. Why are you spying on us? And here, now we'll get into it. We'll go further. The detection of the balloon, which triggered alarm in the White House and the Pentagon, adds to a series of recent controversies that have further strengthened the tense relationship between China and the United States. Like, I think we all know what I think about this particular situation with the Chinese. That's why I'm thinking I'm going to get blacklisted on YouTube. Beijing had urged Commonwealth to establish the facts before a statement on Friday morning said the balloon was a weather research device that had deviated far from its planned course. Now, that's not what the Pentagon's saying. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said it regretted the balloon had mistakenly entered U.S. airspace. Republican leaders and former President Donald Trump had led calls for the balloon to be showdown. I mean, it says showdown. Major publication here. It says following the balloon sighting, U.S. canceled Secretary of State Attorney Anthony Anthony, I thought was with a T, but it's not. Long planned trip to China. Well, the last time that Anthony Blinken talked to the Chinese, they just made fun of him to his face. The trip was to feature a landmark meeting with Chinese President Xi. On a trip, President Biden and Xi announced the visit during their own high-stakes summit in Bali in November. We note the PRC statement of regret, a senior State Department. It's just written bad. It said Friday when announcing the decision. But again, the presence of this balloon in our airspace is clearly unacceptable and a clear violation of our sovereignty. And our clear assessment was that under these current conditions, it wouldn't be constructive to visit Beijing at this time. Let me ask you this. If the U.S. or NATO is flying over Russia, how would that go? Now you say, well, China isn't our enemy. Everyone's our enemy that isn't the United States. That's how this all gets screwed up. People can't figure out who their enemies are anymore. Blinken postponed his planned trip following the detection of a suspected spy balloon. Now, look, they're saying it out loud, which Beijing has claimed is a civilian airship which blew off course. Okay, so that's that. And then they have this blue thing, okay? I don't know what this is about, but so now, look, we've got this article that says two things. One, that it's a weather balloon, and it's a spy balloon. So we don't know what that is. The article itself starts off with the The article starts off with there was an explosion where the thing used to be. And there's a video of it. So it's not, it's, but it, we don't know that the two are related. It says, why would China launch a spy balloon over Montana? Beijing suspected of delving into the Cold War playbook. The detection of the suspected Chinese spy balloon over the United States triggered speculation that Beijing was mounting a concerted surveillance effort near sensitive military sites. China has claimed the balloon is a civilian airship that blew off course, but the analysts have said the balloon could be a Cold War era espionage technique deployed in U.S. airspace. Balloons have been used as a spying technique, including by the U.S. since the 1950s. But technological advancements mean modern models are harder to detect and have much greater surveillance capabilities. Now, look, that doesn't make sense. If they're so hard to see, why do we see them? The balloon currently floating over the U.S. is about the size of 3 buses. It's believed to have flown over the Aleutian Islands in the northern Pacific Ocean, then crossed Canadian airspace in the United States. So, did the Canadians agree to let this thing fly over their airspace? One model suggests it's likely to drift further into the Midwest and over Missouri by Saturday. I mean, are you serious that you're going to let a spy plane get all the way to Missouri from the West Coast? But the nature of the device and the changing weather makes an accurate prediction difficult. The balloon is large enough that destroying it would rain down debris, risking the safety of people on the ground. Officials have said, I think they're wrong. I think they should just go ahead and get it taken care of. The balloon's path takes it over a number of sensitive sites. A senior Pentagon official said when asked about the presence of nuclear missile silos in Montana, clearly they're trying to fly this balloon over sensitive sites to collect information. Then it should be shot down immediately. What are you doing? Seriously. Like, this is ridiculous. However, the balloon's tech is not revolutionary and its observations are not better than what China is capable of seeing through other means, such as its spy satellites. All the more reason to shoot it down. All the more reason to shoot it down. If it's not that great, just get rid of it. China's claim that the balloon is a civilian weather monitoring device are not totally baseless. Such balloons, which can appear similar to a surveillance device, are common tools for meteorological research. China sent such balloons over the United States in recent years. And that's the thing that got to me is, did you know that this wasn't the first balloon? The senior Pentagon official said. The official did not share details, but indicated the flights were detected as far back as the administration of the previous president, Donald Trump. However, the official added, this is the first time a Chinese balloon has stayed in U.S. airspace for an extended period. They're testing us. They're testing us, and they're seeing how feckless and weak we are. Just a disaster. Just a disaster. And you ought to be ashamed. Here's what I didn't have predicted yesterday. Rates below 6%. I mean, that was like, wow. Well, it lasted a day. Yeah, lasted a day. Here you go. The 30-year fixed on Deerwood Realty, STL.com, the last day of the week, shot up 20 basis points to 6.19%. Now, why? I will tell you why. And it says here, even in the latest analysis, the wild ride for rates after stunning jobs report. We weren't supposed to add so many jobs, but we did. And like the forecast was off like 400,000. What does that mean? It means that the Fed that means the Fed has to continue to raise rates if this continues. But I mean, not good. I just don't feel like economic risk to the downside is not being properly reflected in the 30-year mortgage rate. I mean, things could get really dicey in the future, I think. But it's not it's not translating to the market. And we'll go over that. Oh, just to go back to the Chinese story once again. Do you have any faith in the press or the government to give you news that would be any way accurate? And to me, it's no. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I don't trust the government. I don't trust news organizations. So no. But I understand, like you have, like if you are me and you've lived these 45, I believe, years, you have to understand that a long time ago, you could get away with telling complete lies and no one would know. No one would, I mean, the government could say anything it wanted to and we would just believe it because we trusted that the leaders were lying to us for our own good. And now we don't believe that. Now we think they're just lying to us so they can advance their own power or their own agenda. They're not trying to protect the American public. That's the change that's occurred in my lifetime. Honest to goodness, back when I was a kid, if a newspaper wrote something, it was true. Okay? Like there was no question that it was true. Because why would a newspaper lie? I mean, that's the world I grew up in. The news was always right. Anything you saw on TV was right. Okay? And so I'm coming from that place where now it's like nothing you read in the newspaper is close to being right. And then on top of that, the government isn't looking out for you. And God knows when the last time was that they were. So, I mean, it's just a massive change in my lifetime. And it causes problems in cases like this. Look, here's the problem. People are upset about this weather balloon weather. And then you find out, oh, there's been these flights before, but just never this long. And you're like, what? How? We're just letting people fly balloons across the United States? Or is that okay? It's very confusing. Like, why did this one cause all the kerfuffle? I don't know. Put your answers in the comments below. You can also use the chat. It's right there. I don't see anybody in the chat right now. Let's continue. We'll get to our tweets here. Here we go. This is Cantro. It says, we're not in a recession. A nominal GDP is still elevated. Today, the unemployment rate fell to the lowest since 1969, right before a recession. Stocks won't discount a recession until it's on our doorstep. Most market peaks coincide with unemployment rate lows. 3.4% unemployment rate is a ridiculous number. Positive most of the time. I mean, I just don't know what to make of this. That jobs number was ridiculous. It's going to cause all kinds of problems if it's the right print. Encore bubble. Look, how do I put this? I follow Kira Mason. I follow Encore bubble. Okay. I think people are kind of mean to Kara Mason on Twitter. Like in her bio, she's like house slinger in the city of brotherly love, truth seeker, fringe dweller, human, realtor with Berkshire Hathaway, Fox and Roche, and the Kevin McGillicuddy team. Okay. Truth seeker. I think when she puts something out on Twitter, she really is putting the way, like what she is seeing and what she thinks. And then these people just pile on. Like this was kind of sad. It said For what it's worth, most of my buyers on the sidelines aren't waiting for interest rates or prices to drop. They're waiting for their leases to end. Okay, so just that tweet doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't make any sense to me because why are you waiting? We like if your lease ends and you don't have a place to live, you're toast. You should always be looking for a place to live. I mean, like a buying opportunity well months before your lease actually runs out. Because you got 30 to 45 days before you can get the house under contract and where you can get it occupied most of the time. And you're waiting till the last minute. Look, every week there new listings come out. Some of them aren't that great. Maybe 70% of them aren't going to be what your target buyer is looking for. But Encore Bubble writes, yes, rental lease length, this brand new invention that's slowing down buyers in 2023 for the first time. That was sarcasm. And I get where they're coming from. Like what's happening is we make excuses for the buyers and it's kind of ridiculous. And this is shining a light on that. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like, look, high mortgage rates do matter. Affordability does matter. But, this is the first excuse that's been made that Encore Bubble has seen. That's based on lease lengths. And for me, I'm not seeing that. But again, I'm not really a high volume agent. This is an interesting one. I would say another blank TikTok real estate investor posts a video of him calling the tenants to tell her that the rent will go up by more than 2 times. Do better. Don't be this guy. And then you currently rented for $1,100 a month, and that has to be then he says he's raising it to $2,500. That has to be a joke. And so I wanted to talk to you for a moment about TikTok realtors or TikTok real estate. I first became aware of this when my kids were on TikTok right when it came out, and they're young, and it's a terrible product, but everyone's it was the middle of a pandemic, people were kind of bored, and so I had one of my closer friends that's younger in their 20s. They said, man, you make all this money as a real estate agent, and man, everybody's getting into real estate because it's so great, and you can make there's never any downside. It's always wonderful. And I'm like, what is this? What is this you speak? I mean, I get kicked in the shins at least twice a week. Like, I mean, it's not a great thing. Very hard on your brain. Um, Very tough business for me, at least. And you may say, well, it's not as hard as being an oil worker, an oil rig worker, and I agree with that. It's not manual labor. It is hard on the brain, and you do work all the time. I mean, somebody calls and wants to see his house, you just get there. But now let's go into the comments. It says terrible. This kind of thing that feeds the hatred towards landlords. Yes, yes. Have you no shame, Mister Landlord? Like seriously, why would you do this to anyone and then record yourself doing it? It says genuine question. How many landlords call renters to notify of raising rents? Seems highly inefficient and like many do it by mail and email. Very few this was done solely for the TikTok. That's right. Now you're kind of exploiting a tenant to get views on your TikTok. And then this person writes, I only touch rents when they move out. When I have someone I like, takes care of the place and calls me when they need to, pays on time every time, I will never mess with that. There's more to this than pure numbers. I totally agree with that. I When the lease is up, let's negotiate, where we need to be. Okay. On the residential side, on the commercial side, you're going for increases immediately. It's a whole different game. But if you've had somebody in your unit and you're making a decent chunk of change and it's a good tenant, you need good tenants. You need good tenants. So I'm you know I'm uncomfortable. And then this last person, right? I hope it's fake. There's so many bad investors out there. That's what I feel is there are so many fake gurus on TikTok telling you how to be a millionaire real estate investor. It's gross and not likely that all. I mean, if all these people were millionaires, why are they spending their time on TikTok? Just saying. Darth Powell, this was interesting. It's in line with what I think. And so I bring it to you. It says the BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, is going to begin lying to you about what inflation is again, just more. If a widget was $10 year one, $12 year two, and now $14, the old calculation would have shown 27% inflation. Now it would be 12 to 14 to show 17%. This is how the government lies to you. And he's responding to, as long as inflation comes down, they'll stop raising. They are making sure it comes down. That's right. That's right. The inflation number by the government that's been put out is highly fraught with change depending on what they want the numbers to say. So, not great. It just says I'm not followed. I'm not following him. That's weird. This is the last one, and I'm being selfish because I care about the used car market because I want to get a used car. It says used car prices are continuing their fast and unexpected rise. This isn't good for me. Sales conversion at the world's largest dealer auction has skyrocketed. 3 weeks ago, it was 66%. 2 weeks ago, it was 69.4%. And last week, it was 69.6%, a 13-month high. Basically, dealers are paying up to acquire inventory even more than last year. Just to be clear, this refers to wholesale prices. In other words, what dealers pay at auction, not what consumers pay at dealerships. It can take 30 to 60 days before wholesale price trends show up in the retail markets. And then he puts his source. And said, and so like, isn't this the exact opposite of what you spent months predicting? Oh, and I was wrong. See below. He said, yes, it was the exact opposite. I was wrong. I did not expect prices to suddenly rise after a very grim Q4. Here's a nice image showing the beginning of the price increase in early January. And let me see if okay, it says one guy says, "Hey, congrats on being able to concede that point. It's a rare virtue on Twitter." That's right, and it's a rare virtue to admit that you're wrong when you really are wrong is a virtue. It says that the market seems to continue to divorce itself from reality. It's baffling. It says, then somebody else writes, the more everything goes up, the noisier it will be going down. Baffling economic data, but ultimately this is all likely to end in tears, stocks, car, crypto, etc. So, like, what does this mean? Does this mean I'm going to go jump out and buy a car tomorrow? No. I mean, I just refuse. Okay. We're going to move on. There's two stories. I don't know how long we'll get on this one. We're after midnight. We're on to tomorrow. This is from Fortune. I respect Fortune's real estate work. It says rent is so expensive that minimum wage workers need 3 roommates or 4 jobs to afford a 2-bedroom apartment. Now, this could be true in a number of places, and that's kind of what I'm worried about. It says rent prices are getting so far. Oh no, look, they paywalled it. Well, we won't do that then. I'll try one more time, but yeah, they did. All right. Well, I'm not going to do that one. So be it. I'll have to change the title of my. I have to change the title of my title, but no problem. It says Let's go to another one here since that's the last one. This is something that I saw and I wanted to just go over real quick. I don't know where we're at on the time tonight. Okay, we're good. Uh, just look at this. This is from Unusual Whales. This is an article. So, to buy a medium price home in the United States, an average person would need to make about $107,000 annually, up from 74,000 a year earlier. So to me, that's not exactly like written correctly. Because it's the average person would need to make about 107,000, and but like if you're a couple and you made 107,000, shouldn't you be able to afford the median home price? Or like if you're like, I mean, don't even define yourself as couples. If four people go in and can get to $107,000 annually, it's not necessarily a person. So that was weird. And then it says to buy a median home price in the US, an average person would need to make about $107,000 annually, up from about 74,000 a year earlier per Bloomberg. This is an average. And I don't know how many people could ever afford an average home anyway. Mortgage rate. Now, this is where it got weird. Mortgage rates have eased closer to 6%, a sign the housing market is cooling off. That's not related. That's not related at all. Lower rates open the market to 3 million borrowers who'd been priced out, according to Freddie Mac. Markets expect the Fed to stop hiking rates. This 1 percentage point reduction in rates can allow as many as 3 million more mortgage ready consumers to qualify and afford a $400,000 loan, which is the median home price. $3 million more people are making $107,000 a year, like individuals. See, that's what it doesn't make any, but even more so, mortgage rates have eased closer to 6%, a sign the housing market is cooling off. What does that mean? Like, how do those, that doesn't make any sense. A sign the housing market is cooling off because mortgage rates are lower. Like, so what if mortgage rates move to 2%? Is that a sign that the housing market is cooling off? It shouldn't be, because once they are 2%, people will go nuts to buy a house on a 30-year fixed. So I disagree with that. Let me know if I'm thinking something different and it was just me. Okay, well, what's up for tomorrow? I'm glad you asked. I've got to, I'm making homemade lasagna tomorrow for dinner, bringing the family up. Everything's going to be great. And what was going to be better when we were celebrating the return of the dishwasher and kitchen sink and not mourning the loss of the dish or the refrigerator. Kind of disappointing. But anyway, then I need to, I'm going to make the lasagna before I go. I'm showing I'm showing one house tomorrow and one house on Sunday. And after that, we will have dinner. I'm being totally honest with you. I have to make the lasagna. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stream tomorrow. Um, after after dinner. And I don't know that I don't want to stream in the morning. I want to get the lasagna ready to go, because you can make it and get it all ready and then cook it. I'm going to actually have my wife put it in before I leave or while I'm gone, um, if she'll be so kind to do that. But anyway, I feel like we're getting back in the groove. We have had a bunch of negatives here, um, but if you have any questions on real estate related thought, or if you're asking my opinion on anything, put it in the comment section. I always read the comments now because they're quite intuitive. I'm talking to this guy about daylight savings time for the past like 6 months. Very interesting. So do that if you could. Subscribe if you've made it this far. Subscribe on YouTube would be great. If you're not subscribed, if you could subscribe on Rumble, if I can get to 25 subscribers, I can stream at the same time on Rumble. And I would like to do that because I just feel like I need, like I said, I don't know what wishy-washy rules I, might have violated on YouTube tonight. Um, and so it would just be nice to have an alternative platform. I'm also around on Facebook, Twitter. Um, come on in the chat and let's have a good time. So with that, I'm going to head on out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Good night.